How do you create settings, landscapes, and passages about nature like Cormac McCarthy? In this video, I'm going to help you guys understand the fundamentals of McCarthy's nature writing. And this will be a series within our Cormac McCarthy series on McCarthy's use of nature in his writing. And what McCarthy does better than any other author that gives him this success is he spends time out in nature with the settings he's writing about. But he is not a conquistador about it. Most people, when they think about doing research for a book, view it as an event, something to accomplish. But to be able to write well, to be able to create passages like McCarthy requires you to be out here when it's 95 degrees, to start learning all the names of the different plants and understanding the seasons and moods of a certain area. For instance, I'm here in Tucson, Arizona right now, and Cormac McCarthy lived here for a year. In Blood Meridian, there's probably a couple pages or so where the Glanton Gang is south of Tucson and in Tucson. But those passages are spectacular. They are some of the best nature passages in the entire book. Because when McCarthy lived here, he was not working a job. He had just left his second wife. And judging from where he lived, he had very easy access to Saguaro National Park and all the awesome stuff out here. And we have an account from his second wife who came and visited him as, separated individuals. And they went down to Mexico into a lot of the Sonoran Desert areas that McCarthy writes about in Blood Meridian. And this is 10 years before Blood Meridian has even been written. And they spend months just looking around the desert, going to all the different places. And she said that McCarthy wasn't writing at all. He wasn't writing anything. He wasn't taking notes. He was just absorbing it and feeling it. And so if you want to get laid, if you want to get a writer that has money and not have to work your job that you hate, you can't fast track the process of building an actual setting that has life, setting as a character. Because to be able to do that requires you to love that setting. One of my favorite Southwestern authors, Leslie Marmon Silko, she said that when she moved to Washington for graduate school from the Laguna Pueblo Reservation in New Mexico, west of Albuquerque, that she longed for the desert so much and she was so depressed with her new environment that's when she was finally able to write Ceremony and to turn it into one of the greatest pieces of Southwestern literature out there. If you guys like Blood Meridian, you have to go check out Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. Maybe a better thing would be it's like a psychedelic border trilogy set in the exact same time period and in basically the same place. So once you come out into the desert and start to spend time out here, just spend time out here. And if you can't connect or you feel unfocused, start to multitask. I remember when I first really started trying to take the desert more seriously, I would just bring stuff out so I could spend some time in silence, but I would listen to music. I remember just listening to Grateful Dead sets, reading books, like just really trying to do tasks that I could do at home out in a natural environment. And eventually you learn that it's actually very nice to be outside and you start to become addicted to it. And you start to learn that there are magical elements to it. When I write in the desert and read in the desert, it makes the experience way better and the quality better. And so once you really get the intuitive side down, and it honestly may take a year to really feel that out, to really, I would just focus on that for a while, taking hikes. And then you can start to focus on more of the logical side. And the more logical side is obviously learning about all the plants and species around you. And for most people, this list is endless. I'm out here in the desert, but there are so many different variations of every single plant and so many different insects and grasses from valley to valley and wildflowers that it's endless. And when you start to learn the name of something, you start to be able to really understand it, especially if it's an older name, maybe from indigenous people to this area. And you then switch to dialing in on certain plants. For instance, McCarthy in Blood Meridians says a sea of Choya. And I'm out here in a dry riverbank right now, but Choya are very sharp. They have these needles and they jump off the plant and they fall everywhere. They're very painful to fall on. If you threw someone to it, they probably would die. If I remember correctly, maybe the babies were on Choya. I'm pretty sure they were. And so that's a testament to these horses having to walk through this just totally Choya-ridden valley. And right where they are, a little bit southwest of Tucson, the Glanton Gang in the novel, is a sea of Choya like you guys can't even imagine. But McCarthy had to go there and first see the landscape, but then understand that it was Choya and understand some of the characteristics and properties of Choya. McCarthy employs the saguaro cactus in a sunset scene in Blood Meridian, if I remember correctly. And it adds a mystical feel to it because saguaros at sunset are just profound with the colors, with the green and them outlining the horizon. It's magnificent. And so that's the next logical step, is to start focusing on certain things, because you don't need too many. I mean, something like Blood Meridian probably has 50 different plants in it, but they are all used almost perfectly, as someone who has lived all throughout the Southwest and, you know, knows them all. And after all this, there's a choice, and we're going to talk about Cormac's choice. There's two choices, because I can look at a plant like a creosote, and I could talk about the creosote as a creosote and maybe give it a little bit of life and a little bit of power in the setting or in the novel. Or I could mystify and personify the plant, the creosote, the saguaro, the peyote, the datura, the whatever. And McCarthy chooses not to do that. McCarthy chooses not to personify. He chooses to sit with the plants and let them speak, but really just let them be. Because I hold this opinion also. The plants themselves and the words that describe them, and if someone can picture them in their mind, say everything. Nature writing is for the initiated in those passages. And I think that's a stylistic choice that McCarthy does to elevate him even more. I respect him so much more as a writer, and his works have so much more power when he doesn't harp on the judge falls across the peyote, an omen. It's not tropey, it's not genre. And McCarthy's done this his entire life. We see actually Bobby in The Passenger, Bobby Western, talk about how he used to love doing biology projects and understanding all the plants and all the animals, and he knew everything. McCarthy once said that he had every single hobby that there was, and he was very into science and studying these things. Obviously, he's into science and biology. And when you read, especially The Orchard Keeper, you see him employing a deep use of plants. And McCarthy in this novel actually uses more symbolism with the plants more so than anything else. He, you know, uses snakes and witch covens and, you know, vocabulary like that in The Orchard Keeper. That's much different than his other novels. And I think that's because he grew as a writer. He realized he didn't have to say everything, that he could create moods just through the words themselves. All right, so that's lesson number one. First, you need to be non-ambitious and be with it. And then eventually, after a while, when the magic of your environment has really started to spring out at you. And this is also something that isn't permanent. I spent years out in the desert, and then I got very busy in life, and you guys know how it is, wife, pets, jobs. I had a little bit of a break from the desert for a year or two. And when I came back out, I thought that power was still there. I thought when I really started spending time out here again, that everything would click. And I'm in the feeling phase right now. I've been in it for months, and it's been wonderful, but it still hasn't opened up yet. And that's why I'm doing this out here. I'm trying to just get those reps in, get that time in. So if you at one point in your life had a natural connection, it's an easier path back, but you have to be out here before you can move into the logical realm, because the intuition supports the logic. Once you learn all the names and know it all, and you're writing, the proper setting, the proper names will all just come up. They'll spring out of the page. That was something I should have said. Is that when you have these two bases, you can let your unconscious solve the problems, as McCarthy would say. All right, so that's all. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Let me know if you guys are feeling motivated to come out in nature more, if you already spend time out in nature, if you're learning the names of all the plants and actively trying to do it. There's an app called Google Lens that I use, and there's a couple other ones that you can use to identify plants. Obviously, you can use the internet or books, but Google Lens is really easy. I can just pop it up on a plant over here, and it tells me the right plant 99% of the time. Peace.